G'day cobbers, where's Jake now? Well, those of you that might know a little bit of geography might recognise this thing. Probably not many of you actually, but anyways, chucking it out there. Probably one of the more recognisable architectural structures in the capital city of Kazakhstan, Astana, or Nur-Sultan, or Akmole, or Tselinograd. Let's talk about the who, what, wheres and whys of where I am now. I've jumped up onto this for effect. Let's get off of it. Let's go for a little walk. This is my first day in Nur-Sultan. So where am I? Well, Nur-Sultan is the capital city of Kazakhstan. It's a place that most tourists probably don't go to. Almaty is the most populated and popular cities in Kazakhstan. This is more of an administrative center, and we're way up in the north of Kazakhstan, up in the Kazakh steppe. What is a Kazakh steppe? What is a steppe? S-T-E-P-P-E. A steppe is just a vast expanse of treeless land, just grasslands, no mountains or anything, just flat ground that goes on forever and ever and a day. And here in Nur-Sultan, I'll take a little seat for a little bit. Here in Nur-Sultan, there's been evidence of civilizations here since the Bronze Age, but it essentially, during the Soviet Union, got established as a center of for building the agricultural lands of the steppe. Something that didn't really work out too well, because kind of a little bit like the Aral Sea, the steppe is sort of, it's an area of not good soil type. It's not a fertile land, doesn't have good rainfall, it has extremes of temperatures. Like, we're pretty darn close to Siberia where I am now, so it's not very good farming land, which is why nobody's farmed here for bloody millennia. But anyway, the Soviet dream was to make this the breadbasket of the USSR, the breadbasket, which was Ukraine, which is a lot more a better land for agriculture. Anyway, they didn't want all their breads in the one bread basket. So this is the dream. So they started it here. It had all factories where they built tractors and things like that. And as you come into Nur-Sultan, you'll see that around it is agricultural land, but it's not good land for it anyway. So over the period of time, so Almaty was the capital city, and over the period of the USSR, this was called, and previously this was called Tselinograd. Sing a lad. Sing a song about a lad, something like that, something grad a lad. So it was Tselinograd. And then when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991 and Kazakhstan got independence, it got called Akmole. And and then it became the capital city. So they're like, oh, let's move away from Almaty, which I don't know why, because Almaty is fantastic, and let's make it up here in this tractor factory on the windswept Kazakh steppe. So they called it Akmole. They decided they were going to make this the capital city up here. And then where was it? So that was about 91 that it got called Akmole. Then in about 1998, they're like, oh, we're done with Akmole. So it had a period of like, they got in architects. This is an architecturally designed city. And it was a long period of like, how is this going to become the capital? It would have been a difficult thing to move a capital city. And by 1998, it was then up and running truly as a capital city. So they decided, with all imagination, to call it Astana. Astana in Kazakh means capital city. So they called the capital city, Capital City. It's kind of like calling the Big Almaty Lake the Big Almaty Lake, because it's a big lake next to Almaty. Anyway, so this was run from 91 by a guy called Nur-Sultan. Nur-Sultan, he ran a pretty tight ship in its birth from independence, and by a tight ship means that he didn't allow any dissidents, he didn't allow any opposition to his party, even though it was meant to be a democratically elected system. Any opposition was sent off into a fucking gulag somewhere. So in the very first election, he was the only name on the ballot, because everyone just got, I don't know, beaten to a pulp and don't put your bloody name on that ballot. And it was meant to be a 5-year term. He then changed the constitution that it could be a 2-year term. So he got then re-elected, surprisingly, because he was still the only person on the ballot. Well, I've won the democratic election of Kazakhstan, look at me go, I'm on a roll here. Then after the next election, so he's had it for 5 years, and he's had it for 10 years. The 15-year term came up, he just changed the constitution and said, I can have it forever. So there is no time limit. So he had Kazakhstan under his dictatorship for 30 years. And yeah, it was probably some people would argue differently, but probably not the nicest time to be here. No demonstrations against government were allowed. Still, you know, if you think about, if you try to demonstrate in Russia now, or most of these ex-USSR countries, you're going to have pretty heavy-handed tactics on squashing that. They don't shoot warning shots and rubber bullets here, which, you know, just very recently, just in January this year, happened in Kazakhstan, and then the Russians came in and just shot everyone up and the rest of it. So still going on now. Nur-Sultan retired in 2019. He just had enough, and so there's a new presidential leader in now, but they decided in 2019, unanimous decision by government, but not by the people, to call it Nur-Sultan. So they named the capital city after him, after a bloody dictator. So this is a place with a bit of a, one could say, an identity crisis. It's interesting coming here because nobody calls it Nur-Sultan. They still call it Astana. Older people will still call it Akmole. In 30 years, it's changed its name 3 times. And so now Nur-Sultan, it's, you know, you go to book a train or a plane or anything like the sort of, I guess, official, it'll be Nur-Sultan. Anything unofficial, it's still Astana. And I don't know whether the Nur-Sultan name's ever going to really catch on, because I've been speaking to young people and old people in Kazakhstan, and everyone just, it's Astana. So anyway, the government decides. So imagine the expense to the people of Kazakhstan when you have to change freaking everything. Like, that racks up a bill pretty quickly once you change your capital city's name, for no other reason than your dictator finally fucked off. Almaty has a population of about 4 million and Astana has a population of about 2. But this is a lovely view, look at this little spot. So up ahead is the presidential palace. So I'm going to head up there and have a bit of a squidgeridge. Well, there's a few funky buildings. This one here looks pretty snazzy. I think this is the Supreme Court over here. Got the presidential building up ahead. The first thing I notice, and I guess from coming from Almaty to here, there's no shade, no trees. I mean, they've got some new plantings around the place, but where are the trees, man? Just in these huge expanses of sun. Anyway, it's not a bad view back here to the big golden bull thing and the other things that kind of look a bit like, what was that half-finished? Khiva. That looks like the minarets of Khiva. Modern version of. Well, this is about as close as you can get to the presidential palace without a formal invitation, of course, which surprisingly I do not have. So this is his view. This is what he looks at. He's having his morning brekkie. Wonder if he ponders the same thought. Damn, I should have a couple of trees in here. Well, it's clicked. It's all made sense now why they've created this huge expanse with no trees, a flat land. What does that remind you of? Reminds you of the description of the Kazakh steppe. I think they've just tried to create, oh, let's build stuff on a big flat land of nothing, and we'll build a big flat land of nothing. I reckon that's what they've done. I'm onto them. So here's a spiky green fungi. Not like a fun. It's not green fungus. There's a fungi. This is the concert hall. Oh, it's very concerty. Behold the concert hall. Fungi. Let's go back across the modern Kazakh steppe. I've come up to the top of a place called the Bayterek. Bayterek's that big structure, looks like it's holding a golden egg. Potentially that's what it represents, I have no idea. But it's kind of just like a, I don't know, a centre point tower. Like if you're in Sydney, you might go up the centre point to get a better view. It's a lookout point. Hello, how are you? Well, we'll go around the photographers here. So this will be where you get your best view of all the things to see in Nur-Sultan. We have that park heading straight down through here, the fountains, presidential palace, and the big Kiva gold half-finished minarets. Ooh, looks like there's a higher deck. Where does this go? Let's check it out. Well, let's have a little look around here though. Oh, looks like we got a little cafe. Oh, lovely. I'll come back down here for a cake and coffee. Delicious. Alrighty, come the next level up. We're kind of in the big, well, it looks like the gold egg from downstairs. Big glass dome. And can't quite see what everyone's looking at doing, but they're all trying to line up and go up to something. After what feels like an eternity of walking from, well, there's the gold egg thingo and the presidential palace, another 400 miles that way across the steppe, and you keep coming through here of us, okay, some flower beds and things. And I've just been like, where the hell is I know that's the center of it, but where's the entertainment of it? Like, it's just, there's no sound. There's no smells. It just is like this dead city. I finally come to somewhere that has some kind of thing going on. A water fountain. And a couple of restaurants. But it's eternally frustrating to me, right? So here they've built this like big building with the archway, and they've purposely positioned in the middle of the arch this other fantastic architectural structure, and then you build freaking road overpass right here, right in the way of it. And then what would have lined up beautifully with your golden egg and the arch, you put a big granite block. So now you don't get the symmetrical look at the beautiful building and the archway and the fountain. Like, they've just completely ballsed up a perfect opportunity there. Who was in charge of this place? Here's the big stupid overpass that bunged right in the way of the view, but we've got planets under here, so great. Okay, let's get under this stupid overpass and get to this fun tent structure straight through here. I've been wondering, right? So Almaty was the same, and you kind of find this in a lot of these ex-Soviet countries, or the Soviet planned cities, and they're always so huge, like the expanse of everything. Like Almaty, which is a beautiful, beautiful city, but it's about 7 or 8 kilometers from one side to the other. It's not a walkable city. You know, luckily there's a lot going on, so wherever you could close your eyes and stumble somewhere, you're going to find something. But here the same thing. Like, you got this massive, like just this huge expanse of nothingness, and everything. Like, okay, here we got this little water fountain feature with the garden beds around it. You've got enough to be able to have a couple of, and this is what I'm wondering, right? Is everything built in these parts of the world so that you could drive army tanks around? Because there's no reason to have a bloody 100 meters between the fountain there and the garden bed here. It's just like this huge expanse of land around here, of all this paving, but it's the same for every single thing. Every part of the central strip that runs through is like it's designed that you could just charge an entire army through at any point in time. Army trucks, you could fit bloody army tanks 4 abreast is coming around this feature here. And if every single little item was just brought into a manageable size, then all of a sudden, like, it makes no sense in planning unless you're planning for like military action. See, normally here you'd have the I love. they just know. Well, this supposedly is one of the greater things to see. #1 on TripAdvisor. Where are we? Astana, Nur-Sultan. Well, the roof of it is made of like, oh, it looks like bubble wrap. Anyway, here we are up the top of things. I don't really know what this is all about, so let's go and have a little squidgerididge. Right, so it's a shopping mall. Okay, you know what? This is Nur-Sultan's a little bit like, it's like a PovPack Dubai, I guess. Like, they've tried to go with all this crazy wacky buildings, don't quite have the money to go like too huge and crazy wacky with them, and the #1 attraction's a mall. It's a little bit like that, you know. Like, so Dubai, everyone would have gone, whoa, who's gonna like go and visit some desert city with nothing going on? I'm doing well, how are you? So here we are on the Kazakh steppe. They've decided to build a capital city out of a tractor factory, and oh, here we go. Let's have a look what it's all about. A big glassy, well, it's not glass, a bubble mall, we'll call it. So it's a big bubble mall. Alrighty, well, welcome to Kazakhstan's bubble mall. Well, yeah. Yep. I think you can all kind of tell from my mannerisms that you know and love, but just not digging Nur-Sultan. It's yeah. I now understand where everybody is, because there's nobody out there anywhere. Everybody's in that. And yeah, it's just a shopping mall, isn't it? Again, very much like Dubai. Nothing to do in Dubai except for go to a shopping mall. I've got friends that live there. What do you do on your weekend? Oh, I go to the mall. Oh, fun that is. Party. Fuck. I'm not entirely done with Nur-Sultan yet, because there's got to be something more to this place. Just we'll find out. I'm gonna have a shop. I got the giggles now. I'm gonna go find a beer. That'll settle me down. Righto. I was just walking. I'm walking out of. I decided to walk across the Kazakh steppe to get away from Astana. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of the city, and I don't think many people are, which is why nobody comes here. It's a little bit like Islamabad. But got me thinking, why do so many of these planned cities not actually work out? Because this is a planned city, they've missed the mark, I think. Islamabad, planned city, missed the mark. And some could argue the point for places like even like Canberra in Australia, our capital city, probably has missed the mark a little bit. Not as much as this, but it seems to be these unplanned cities that have sort of like emerged over centuries that just really work. So why is that? Like, why is it that like well, let's say Prague or Budapest, and I always think of these European cities, Stockholm or Ljubljana, that work as a very interesting and touristic place that's entertaining, walkable. You get a good vibe of what's going on with the place and the people. And it's just as I was thinking this, I'm just wandering along, and I was thinking Tallinn, probably Tallinn, one of my favourite capital cities in the world. And here we are in Astana, and they've bunged up a big picture of Tallinn. Here we go, Tallinn, Estonia. If you haven't been there, it's bloody fantastic. Here I am down at a river. I've been walking from the new town to the old town. I've now been walking, I believe, for longer than I've actually been alive. Somehow I've like gone through a time-space continuum. This just never ends. Anyway, there's a little bit of a rivalry, competition in Nur-Sultan on who lives on the best side of the river. The left bank, the new town, or the old bank, the old town. Personally, I imagine that's like arguing who's got the best wart on their face. Even if you win, you lose. There's no winner. Just stop arguing. Stop the competition.